How's it going? Cloudy Wells again. Got a pretty quick video today, and I'm going to be talking about the difference between patience and passivity, and just in general, the, I guess, effects that you can experience from, I guess, assuming that being patient and being passive are the same thing. And I find that, like, often they're used kind of interchangeably, um, but I think the definition and separation between what makes the two terms different, it's super important. Um, and it's often preached that it's better to be passive and agreeable and to not like stir the pot, and to just kind of go along with the things that are happening around you, to be tolerant and accepting of everything. Um, however, there has to be a clear distinction between being passive and tolerant versus being patient. So the issue I have with this is that a common character trait for people, or I guess like a trait that a lot of people pride themselves on having, is patience, or like being patient. And for some people, patient means like basically becoming a doormat, being somebody that is okay with anything happening and not really speaking up if something bothers them. Um, which that's terrible for plenty of reasons. And I'm sure if you're somebody who is struggling with that right now, then you can attest to um, how terrible it feels to feel like a doormat, especially in things like your workplace or maybe your family, friend group, whatever. And it also sometimes can feel almost like a necessity because speaking out against things that bother you, oftentimes you'll be labeled as somebody who is like easily offended, or I don't know, just like generally made fun of, or like kind of like outcasted. And that's just kind of how these things go. But in my opinion, I think it's a little bit better to be alone than it is to be made into a doormat. However, so the issue again that I have is that patience doesn't mean not speaking up or not standing up for yourself or not saying that you think something is wrong or not taking action. Patience is despite expressing your concerns towards whatever it is. So, say for instance, somebody, um, I don't know, says something to you, and I don't know, maybe it strikes a nerve, and you say something in terms of like basically telling them not to say that thing again or something along those lines. And you continue to view it from a, I guess, a fair viewpoint where, they might have said something that for them they thought was a joke, or maybe it's just something that they were unaware of. Maybe they were ignorant to something, or nescient. And you forgive them. However, you were not being passive because you expressed your concern towards the matter. And you don't lose your temper on them. And that is what makes you patient. Versus somebody who mistakes being patient for passivity. That person would say something that would be, I guess, normally offensive, or something that would strike a nerve in somebody. And instead of saying anything, they would just go along with it, or maybe even laugh it off. And when it does happen repeatedly, they make no effort to, I guess, correct the situation or give their input, and they say, "Oh, I'm just being patient. Maybe they'll figure it out on their own." However, most people often do not, and when you don't speak up for yourself, you can't expect people to understand how you feel and read your mind, unless maybe you give off some sort of signal, or you just straight up just say, "Hey, like, that what she said or something makes me like uncomfortable. There's just no way for them to know that and to potentially correct, I guess, what they were doing. And you kind of rob them of the opportunity to potentially be a good friend. If we're talking in terms of like friendships, then maybe you have a friend who makes some sort of joke that you found to be insensitive or something. Maybe it was at your expense, and you call them out on it right then and there, as opposed to letting it slide and laughing about it. Then maybe that person will be a little bit upset, but who knows? Maybe they'll come around and kind of respect your viewpoint, or maybe even apologize. And that would never happen if you were being passive under the guise of being patient and just kind of rolling with the punches, which is fine in some cases, but in cases where it's something that you want to change, where you want to give people the opportunity to change, then you can't just expect it to happen by waiting. You have to say something or take action in these sorts of cases, and you can't just leave it up to, I guess, time or their own conscious to like realize what they said bothered you. And it's they're your feelings, it's your responsibility to handle them, especially as an adult. And whatever way that might be best for you. And who knows, maybe that person will say something and you call them out on it, and they don't respect the, I guess, the wish or the ask that you have of them not doing that thing anymore. And well, then guess what? You just found out that that person wasn't necessarily a great friend for you, or at least in that regard is not a great friend for you. And it sucks losing friends, or I guess kind of being that person who is creating conflict and stirring the pot. But if you don't want to be treated as a doormat your entire life, then you need to have some sort of, I don't want to say like morals, but you need to have respect for yourself and, stand up and say things, express how you feel about things, and, just value your own presence and your time. And if somebody's not respecting that, then you have all the right to walk away from the situation and find new friends, find a new group of people to hang out with. It's up to your discretion, obviously, but, the idea that not saying anything ever and just allowing people to say and do whatever they want to you, that makes you a patient person, that's just wrong. That's completely, that's just backwards as to what patience actually is. Patience is having the ability to express these things and giving people the opportunity to work through them and potentially fix them. And that's what makes a patient person, not somebody who is a doormat and can't say no, can't express concerns or anything like that. And you want to take it a level deeper. If you're a person who is a doormat at their job and you can't say no to anything out of fear of losing your job, or maybe being like a social outcast at work, which it's very fair, I guess, fear or case. But if you want it to stop, then you have to say something. Otherwise, you'll be that person who's working overtime, whose coworkers are dumping excess projects on. Your boss will always come to you, and all of a sudden you take a look back and you realize you're doing the workload of 4 people and you're still getting paid the same. And that happens because people mistake themselves as being patient, and really what it is them just being passive and allowing other people to take advantage of them, and I guess what would be considered their naivety or good nature in some cases. But if you want something, or you want something to change, you want something to happen, you've got to put action in place, whether that be discussing it, making it known, expressing your concerns, or you've got to respect your time, respect yourself, and put yourself in a better situation that's just better for you overall. But like I said, it was just a super quick video today. I would love to know what you guys think on this topic, or just any topics kind of relating similarly to this. But this is just kind of an idea I've been kind of stirring around in my head for a bit, and I decided to make a video on it. And again, I thank you all for watching and supporting my videos, and I'll see you again in the next video.